The notes that we're doing today are going to be about a histogram, which is a special kind of bar diagram. Now, you are expected to complete this notes video by midnight tonight. However, we're not going to do the independent practice for histograms until Monday, March 22nd. So, this is why it says Monday, March 22nd on the lesson objectives. All right, so don't forget you do need to practice your flashcards each day to learn the vocabulary for data analysis. Histograms is chapter 10, lesson 6, and ultimately we will be on pages 828 through 830. We're going to begin watching this video about the notes of histograms in just a moment, but I wanted to remind you that I have more examples on this lesson objectives page. This particular histogram is about visiting the pool last summer, and there are various questions to answer about that. And then there's a video you can watch to learn more about that particular example. Okay, don't forget you do always have extra credit available to you, and you could do this over spring break as well. Imagine Math, practicing that, and Imagine Math Facts, which a lot of us would find very helpful if we got better on our math facts. Okay, now I'm going to pause the video. You need to find your math textbook, and I will tell you what page to open to. Okay, make sure your textbook is open to page 828. Data analysis continues, and today's color is orange. Okay, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit here. All right, the type of chart we're going to be learning about today is called a histogram, and it is in the bar graph family. Now, you're familiar with bar graphs. Bar graphs, each individual bar represents one value, but a histogram is like the gigantic version of that. Each bar represents a range of values, not just one value. So it actually contains a lot more information. So as we can see here, these charts help us understand frequency distribution of the data. So by telling us how many pieces of data are in each interval. Okay, that sounds really complicated, but it's not. So let's say we were analyzing the cost of different remote control airplanes. Okay, so this first bar here represents all the airplanes that cost between $25 and $49.99. So there's a $25 range here. Okay, now if we look up at this bar, here's the scale. It's larger than 8 and less than 10, so there are 9 planes that cost between $25 and $49, okay? Now, if we look at the next interval, you notice that the bars don't have any space between them because this stops at $49.99, but the next one starts at $50, so there's no space. So between $50 and $74.99, there are more than 6 but less than 8. So halfway, that's going to represent 7. So there are 9 planes in this first interval. There are 7 planes you can buy that are $50, between $50 and $74.99. Now in this next range, we have $75 to $99. And our bar is quite a bit lower than that. So in this $25 range interval, there is more than 0 but less than 2. So right here, halfway, there's only 1 plane that has that, that's within that price value range. Now, again, as you notice, as they get more expensive, there are less models that are this expensive. Between $100 and $124.99, there are 2 planes that cost that much. There are 0 planes that cost between $125 and $149.99. And there is 1 plane that costs between $150 and $174.99. So you can see the kind of information this gives us. There is a huge range. The top of the range, the most expensive, is $174.99. The least number is $25. So if we were to figure out the range of this, we would subtract $25 from this number here to find out the range. Okay. Now there's no real way of understanding mode necessarily, because we don't know specifically how much each of these 7 cost or how much each of these 9 cost, because it's kind of an interval. But we can interpret other pieces of data from this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to answer a question about this graph, so hang in there. Okay, so down here at the bottom of the page, question A, refer to the histogram above. How many remote control airplanes cost less than $75? So cost less than $75. So we come up here to this histogram and we're looking down here at the different bars. Where is $75? $75 is right here. Okay, so I want you to answer this question. How many planes are less than $75? Go ahead and think about that. Okay, so you've already recorded your answer. So coming back here, between $25 and $49.99, it's between 8 and 10, so there are 9 planes in that range. Then we have $50 to $74.99. Between 6 and 8, there are 7 in that range. And then $75 to $99.99, there is 1 plane. Okay, so since we said less than 75, it will not be anything that is to the right of the second bar. So it's only going to be 2 bars. And so 9 plus 7 is 16. So the answer is there are 16 planes that are less than $75. So that's one way we're going to interpret this. We can also definitely say that clearly there are more cheaper planes than there are expensive planes, because if we continue to do this, let's see, that was 2, this was 0, and this was 1. There are only 4 planes that are greater than $74.99, and there are 16 that are less than 75. Okay, which makes sense because I'm sure people cross these planes a lot. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at how to create these histograms. Okay, so representing data with a histogram, um, you start out with a big data table. This is talking about the daily visitors of selected state parks. There's quite a few different numbers here. And what you do next is you have to organize that data and to find out the frequency that the different intervals of data occur. So basically, someone found the least number of people who visited on a particular day. Go ahead and look for that number and tell me what that number is. Okay, very good. It's in the range of 100 to 149, and here's 108. I think that's right. I think it's 108. And then there's 137. That's right. So if you said 108, you are correct. And what is the most people that visited in one day? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. It's somewhere between 350 and 399. So right here, one day is 382 people. So if you had 382, that is correct. So basically, they come up with their own kind of intervals. And this is groups of 50, 100 to 149, 150 to 199. So in intervals of 50 all the way from 350 to 399. And they just make tally marks for how many are in each of these categories. And then you take the number, the frequency, and the frequency is going to be the Y scale, so counting by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, because we have 1, 1, 1, 2, 7, 8. And then you just draw your bars. So on the X scale over here, the number of visitors, you have each bar representing each of those intervals, and then you just draw the bars. So that's how you make a histogram. Let's go ahead and try to make one together. Okay. So the list on the right shows test scores. We're going to choose intervals and make a frequency table and construct a histogram to represent that data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to look for the very smallest number. Go ahead and find that for me, please. All right, so I scanned each column. This had 65, nothing smaller than that, nothing smaller than that, nothing smaller than that. Oh, there's a 68. That's a little bit bigger. Okay, so the very smallest number is 65. Now I want you to find out what the highest grade people made were. Okay, same thing. So this is 97. Okay, there's a 94. That's not bigger. Is there anything larger than 97? Okay, so if you said 97, you're correct. So if we were to figure out the range of this data, I'm going to take 97 and subtract 65. And so there is a 32-point range between the lowest score and the highest score. So there are four kind of areas here, and that's reasonable. So let's do groups of 10 because definitely a 40-point spread is going to be able to fit everything in here. So since the lowest number is 65, let's go ahead and do 60 through 69, 70 through 79, 80 to 89, and then 90 through 100 as our intervals. Okay, so what you need to do now is we're going to go through each of these data points, and as we cross them out, we're going to make a tally mark. So 72, that's one tally mark for 70 to 79. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and make all of your tally marks, and the very first thing I want you to answer for me is how many tally marks do you think there are going to be for 60 through 69? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. Okay, very good. There's only going to be two. Now, how many tally marks are there going to be from 70% to 79%? Answer that for me, please. Okay, that frequency is going to be 5. There are only 5 tally marks. So how many scores are there in the 80s range? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. If you answered 10, you're correct. And finally, how many people scored between 90 and 100%? Answer that, please. Okay, the answer is going to be 11. Now, let's make sure that we actually did this correctly. This is 4 rows, and there were 7 in each row, so there should be 28 pieces of data. 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 10 is 17, and 17 plus 11 is 28, so I think we're on the right track. All right, so now we're going to create our scale here. So we have between 2, 5, 10, and 11. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I think we should be able to count by 2. So if this is, first line is 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 will be the right scale for the number of students. And then as far as making our marks, our bars, you just need to label 4 bars, and then I want you to go ahead and draw those bars, and we're going to check on this in just a second. Okay, so I wrote 60 to 69. I wrote each of the labels down here. For 70, there was 5, and so it's halfway between 4 and 6. So I'm going to carefully draw the rest of the bar. 80 was 10, so I'm going to come up here to 10, and then bring down this bar, ish. And then the last one, there were 11 between in the 90s, so halfway between 10 and 12, and then bring this one down like this. And that's how we create a histogram. Okay, so think about what the most important things we learned about, and you know the expectations for this, so make sure you come up with something that's really important that you need to know about histograms. Go look back in the notes as you need to. Go ahead and answer that for me, please. Thank you for the thoughtful answer. Please come back to class. We're going to do some more of these together. I appreciate your time. Take care.